Welcome to the Black History All-Stars podcast, where we celebrate the remarkable men and women who have profoundly influenced our world and our role within it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to discover the extraordinary individuals whose contributions often remain unsung in American history. Harriet Tubman was a true American hero, a woman who risked her life time and time again to free enslaved people and fight for the abolition of slavery. Her unwavering courage, determination, and deep faith in God made her a force to be reckoned with, and her legacy continues to inspire people around the world. Tubman's story is one of extraordinary bravery, selflessness, and an unshakable commitment to the cause of freedom. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland, in the early 1820s to Ben and Rit Ross. Ironically, Tubman, born Araminta Mindy Ross, was not born a slave. Her grandparents were brought to America as slaves and her parents were born into slavery. But Harriet's mother was granted her freedom before Harriet was born. This should have meant that Harriet was born free. This was America, however, and the goalpost could and often did change according to the whims of the oppressor. From a young age, she faced the harsh realities of life under the oppressive system of slavery, enduring physical abuse and the constant threat of being sold away from her family. Despite these challenges, or maybe even because of them, Tubman's spirit was imbued with a sense of purpose and steadfast determination to make right what was so wrong about America. For example, when she was about 5 or 6 years old, she was hired out to a woman named Miss Susan to work as a nursemaid. Tubman was tasked with caring for the baby and was ordered to keep the cradle rocking. If the baby woke up and cried, Tubman faced physical punishment. She recounted a particularly harrowing day when she was whipped 5 times before breakfast. Horrific as this sounds, it was a common experience for slaves. But this moment stuck with Harriet, and she knew that things were only going to get worse as she got older. She wanted her God-given right to freedom. In 1849, at the young age of 20, she made the daring decision to escape to the north. Her journey to freedom was fraught with danger, as she had to evade slave catchers and navigate the treacherous terrain of the South. According to the book, Harriet, Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman, she had long dreamed of escaping, but knew the risks were immense. Slave owners ruthlessly pursued those who dared to run, and the penalties for being caught were severe, often including brutal beatings or even death. Despite her fears, Tubman was driven by an unbreakable spirit and a deep longing for liberty. As described in her semi-autobiographical book, Harriet Tubman, The Moses of Her People, and so without money, and without friends, she started on through unknown regions, walking by night, hiding by day, but always conscious of an invisible pillar of cloud by day, and of fire by night, under the guidance of which she journeyed or rested. Without knowing whom to trust, or how near the pursuers might be, she carefully felt her way, and by her native cunning, or by God-given wisdom, she managed to apply to the right people for food, and sometimes for shelter, though often her bed was only the cold ground, and her watchers the stars of night. After successfully escaping slavery and making her way to the north, Harriet Tubman found herself in a state of profound inner conflict. As described in Harriet, Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman, she was overjoyed to have won her own freedom, but she was deeply troubled by the fact that her family and friends remained in bondage. Tubman had tasted the sweet air of liberty, but she could not bear the thought of others suffering under the cruel yoke of slavery. Tubman would later say that she felt a moral imperative to return to the South and guide her loved ones to freedom. "I was free, and they should be free." With that unwavering conviction, she began planning her first mission back to the South, determined to lead her family to safety through the secretive network of the Underground Railroad. In short, her hero's journey was about to begin. But how did she become involved with this secretive group in the first place? When Tubman first arrived in the North, she was greeted by a network of abolitionists and free black communities who were actively working to assist enslaved people in their quest for freedom. These individuals and organizations had established the Underground Railroad, a secret system of safe houses, routes, and transportation that helped guide fugitive slaves to liberty. While the term Underground Railroad was not coined until the 1830s, the network of secret routes, safe houses, and transportation that facilitated the escape of enslaved people had been in development for decades prior. One of the earliest known instances of organized efforts to assist enslaved people in their quest for freedom dates back to the late 1780s. As described in the book Harriet Tubman, The Moses of Her People, a group of Quakers in Pennsylvania established a network of safe houses and transportation to help guide fugitive slaves to the North and Canada. By the 1830s, the Underground Railroad had become a well-established and increasingly organized system, with a growing number of routes, safe houses, and conductors like Harriet Tubman. Tubman quickly immersed herself in this abolitionist community, forging connections with key figures like William Still and Thomas Garrett. These seasoned conductors of the Underground Railroad took her under their wing, teaching her the intricate workings of the network and the strategies they used to evade slave catchers. Tubman's own experiences as an enslaved person gave her a unique perspective and understanding of the challenges faced by those seeking to escape. She was able to provide valuable insights that helped the abolitionists refine their methods and improve the effectiveness of the Underground Railroad. Tubman's first mission was a carefully planned and executed operation. She worked closely with the abolitionist network, gathering intelligence, securing transportation, and mapping out a safe route. She knew the dangers, but Tubman was on a mission and would not be deterred. And so Harriet's first expedition was aimed at freeing her elderly parents, Ben and Rit Ross, as well as her brothers and their families. This was a deeply personal mission for Tubman, as she was determined to liberate her loved ones from the oppressive system of slavery that she had escaped just a year earlier. The success of this first expedition set the stage for Tubman's legendary status as a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Her intimate knowledge of the terrain and her unwavering courage and faith in the face of danger made her an invaluable asset to the abolitionist movement. It must also be noted that her ability to communicate with other slaves and earn their trust and admiration is what made her a legend in her own time. In addition to appealing to the abolitionist community for financial support, Tubman also took on a variety of odd jobs and manual labor to earn money for her missions. She worked as a cook, a laundress, and even as a nurse to supplement the funds she received from donors. Tubman was determined to do whatever it took to finance her expeditions, as the costs of transportation, food, and other supplies added up quickly. One of Tubman's most notable side jobs was working as a cook on steamships that traveled between Baltimore and Philadelphia. This allowed her to earn money while also gathering intelligence about slave catchers and the movements of enslaved people, which she could then use to plan her rescue missions. Tubman was known for her exceptional culinary skills, and her employers valued her hard work and dedication. Tubman's unwavering commitment to the cause of freedom meant that she was willing to sacrifice her own comfort and well-being to ensure the success of her missions. She lived frugally, often sleeping in safe houses or on the floors of sympathetic abolitionists' homes, in order to save every penny she could for her expeditions. Over the course of the next decade, Tubman would make more than a dozen perilous trips back to the South, risking her life time and time again to liberate her people. Her work as a conductor on the Underground Railroad would cement her legacy as one of the most heroic and influential figures in the abolitionist movement. But her efforts were not without consequence. Danger was around every corner. Take the wanted photo for example. The $40,000 bounty in the 1800s would be equivalent to approximately $1,357,965.22 in today's currency. With a bounty that high, one can only imagine how hard it would be to trust anyone with her whereabouts. The long journeys, lack of rest, and constant state of alert took a significant strain on her body. If that wasn't bad enough, when she was just 13 years old, an overseer, aiming to punish another enslaved person, hurled a 2-pound metal weight that struck Harriet instead. This brutal act caused a traumatic head injury, resulting in lifelong consequences such as chronic headaches, seizures, and narcoleptic episodes. As a fugitive slave herself, Tubman knew firsthand the constant threat of capture and the brutal consequences that awaited those who dared to escape. Slave catchers were relentless in their pursuit of runaways, and the penalties for assisting enslaved people in their flight to freedom were severe, often including harsh beatings, imprisonment, or even death. Tubman's missions required her to travel through remote and treacherous terrain, often at night, to avoid detection. Any passerby would be a potential threat to her life. As described in Harriet, Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman, she had to navigate dense forests, swamps, and rivers, all while constantly on the lookout for slave patrols and bounty hunters. Despite these dangers, Tubman remained steadfast in her commitment to the cause of freedom. She was known to carry a gun and was not afraid to use it to protect herself and the people she was leading to safety. In fact, Tubman once threatened a group of slave catchers with her revolver, forcing them to turn back and allowing her party to continue their journey unimpeded. Tubman's missions were marked by numerous harrowing and inspiring stories. One such account comes from William Still, an abolitionist who worked closely with Tubman. He recounted the story of Tubman's rescue of a young enslaved woman who had been left behind during a previous escape attempt. Tubman risked her own life to return for the woman, ultimately leading her to safety. Another account tells of Tubman's daring raid on a plantation, where she successfully liberated a group of enslaved people and guided them to freedom. Tubman's words, and the words of those who admired her, provide powerful insights into her character and the impact of her work. As the abolitionist, Lydia Maria Child wrote, Harriet Tubman was the most remarkable woman of our times. She was a heroine, a saint, and a martyr. Frederick Douglass, another renowned abolitionist, praised Tubman's courage, stating, "Excepting John Brown, of sacred memory, I know of no one who has willingly encountered more perils and hardships to serve our enslaved people than Harriet Tubman. Her legacy as a conductor on the Underground Railroad is a testament to the power of courage, faith, and unwavering commitment to a cause. Her story continues to inspire people around the world, reminding us of the transformative impact that one person can have when they are willing to risk everything for the sake of freedom and justice. Tubman's life and work have left an indelible mark on the history of the United States, and her name has become synonymous with the fight for human rights and the abolition of slavery. Her work as a conductor on the Underground Railroad would be a major lifetime accomplishment for most. But for Harriet Tubman, it was just one of many accomplishments. She was also a Civil War spy, a scout, a nurse, a woman's suffrage advocate, and a humanitarian. In short, she may just be one of the hardest working women you'll ever hear about. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would say that, "We are all in debt to this woman who dared to defy the slaveholders and the whole system of slavery." Harriet Tubman was a living counterpart of Joan of Arc, and if she had lived in an earlier period of history, she would have been elevated to sainthood. James Baldwin noted that Harriet Tubman is one of the most extraordinary figures in American history. She was a woman who defied all the limitations that were placed upon her, and in so doing, she became a model for all of us. Without Harriet Tubman's contributions, the Underground Railroad would have been significantly less effective in its mission to liberate enslaved people. While there were many other brave and dedicated conductors on the Underground Railroad, Tubman's unique combination of personal experience, spiritual conviction, leadership, and sheer courage set her apart as an exceptional and transformative figure in American history. Tubman's legacy as the Moses of her people endures as a testament to the transformative power of one individual's willingness to risk everything for the sake of freedom and human dignity. Her story continues to inspire and captivate people around the world, solidifying her place as a true American hero. Thank you for exploring this topic with us. Drop a comment below letting us know if you learned anything new today. Also, let us know what other people or events you'd like to see showcased in an upcoming episode. Don't forget to check the description section for book recommendations. Finally, don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be notified when a new video is posted.